Welcome to the LinkedIn Live event with today's topic, Evolve your help desk with Automator Self-Service Portal. I will show you how our customers are using the Automator Self-Service Portal to provide a tool to their service desk to solve more tasks directly, but with much less permissions needed. And when I talk about service desk, I talk about help desk, I talk about support department, I talk about those people in your IT department which are in charge when one of your users experience any troubles in the IT or have a question to the IT. So this can be the service desk, the help desk, the support department, or your local IT department in any subsidiaries, but we talk about those people who are in charge when someone experiences a problem. And we help the service desk to solve user problems much faster, but without any application admins. So your service desk do not have to log in to the application to reset the password or whatever. And of course, with no training period for new employees, or no direct access needed to the application. And so you have less application admins, you have no direct access for your service desk to the target application, and there is no training period for new employees for any of those applications. So we have a front end to trigger those actions for your service desk, and the actions is done then by the automation in the application. And of course, at the end, we relieve the next level IT or the infrastructure IT, the second level, the third level. So there are less tickets, less requests for those next level infrastructure IT, for the holding IT, whatever. So that's the idea of what we are what we achieve here with the Automator Self-Service Portal. We will start with a short introduction of the company and then head over to the demo. So my name is Michael Seidel. I'm a Microsoft MVP since 2015. I'm an automation consultant since more than 10 plus years, and I'm the founder and CEO of Automator. Automator was founded in Austria, Europe in 2015, back then as a web front end for System Center Orchestrator runbooks. Lucky if you still know what Orchestrator is. So in 2019, we enhanced our portal to be used by 4 automation engines. So on top of System Center Orchestrator, we added the PowerShell, Azure Automation, and System Center SMA. But 3 years later, so in 2022, we removed the SMA because it just wasn't used by our customers. And Microsoft didn't put a lot of effort in it. So right now we have 3 automation engines, but no SMA. And today, we are happy to have a growing consulting team and happy to help our customers all around the world with Automator and in automating their IT processes. So how does all this work together? So before you start with the Automator, you need the automation builder. You have to build the automation. So you have to build your Orchestrator runbooks, you have to build your Azure Automation runbook or your PowerShell script. You use initialized data to put some values into your automation. So that's everything standard to the automation engine. So nothing special for Automator Self-Service Portal. Then you do your automation and you give some return data. Okay, so that's the prerequisite. Then Automator comes in place. So more on the admin side, you create a service, you connect it to your automation you built before. You configure your questions with multiple question types and so on. You can configure an approval. So if your manager needs to approve before the automation is started or some group of users needs to approve, that can be configured. And of course, each service can be limited to a bunch of users, to a bunch of groups, whoever is allowed to trigger that request. And then the end user can start a request. If an approval is configured, the user has to wait for the approval to be done. And of course, the user will be informed about this process. So if there is an approval waiting, the user will be informed via email or in the portal that an approval is pending and he has to wait until the request is approved. If the request is approved or there is no approval, the automation is triggered with the values the user entered in the front end, and you get some return data back. So why are we doing all of this? And of course, one of the most important thing is to increase your security. Because when you use the automated self-service portal to delegate or to provide a front end for different tasks, different actions, then you can reduce your domain admins, your application admins, your Entra admins, whatever application you're triggering with the automation. The users or the help desk or the IT people don't need to log into the application anymore. He can use the front end of Automator to trigger those actions. And when you reduce your domain application admins, there is less more possibilities to have any accident errors. Okay. And of course, with that, you can increase the quality, because automation doesn't depend on if it's cold outside, if it's hot outside, if you have headache or not. Automation always do the same way as you made the automation. Okay. And I have one example for classic user on offboarding. If you have 3 people doing the user on offboarding and you have a written down document how to do it, you can be sure that you have 3 different ways how it is done. Okay, because the humans think different, they interpret the task in a different way. So you can be sure that if you have 3 different people, you have 3 different ways how to do it. And with automation, it is always done the same way. And with that, of course, you save time, because you can delegate your routine tasks, your automation, your services to your end user, to your help desk, to your managers, to your departments, whoever wants to trigger a service or has a request related to IT. So you don't need anyone write a ticket and so on. So that saves a lot of time. And if you save time, of course, you save money, because your IT team then can concentrate to evolve your IT, to evolve new systems, of course, to take care of AI or whatever is right now on your priority list on the very top. So you don't need to pay the people to do routine tasks anymore. They can concentrate or to evolve your business and to bring the IT to the next level. And of course, if the user can request something in a portal and get an immediate response, you will have happy users as well. And I see in many customers that employees are requesting such kind of self-service right now. So if they move from a company which had a self-service portal and do all this stuff, they're requesting those things from the new employer. Okay. And if you don't have this, they will request this kind of self-service. So make sure you already have this in place, or you immediately start. And of course, if you increase security and quality, if you save time and money, and if you have happy users, your IT staff is happy, because your IT staff can do things they like and don't need to do things, daily routine tasks, and so on. So with that said, we will head over to the demo from today's LinkedIn live event. So today we have the perspective of the service desk. So the service desk needs to trigger some kind of actions to solve user problems. And I want to have a short introduction how this works, and so you get a feeling how we can build the forms, how different the processes can be, and how easy it is to adopt. So in our case, of course, one example for the service desk is to reset a password. And for this case, I want to show you how it works in the background. So we have an easy PowerShell script to reset a user password. So as an input parameter, we are using a user, a type where we can decide if you want to generate a password automatically or we want to enter a password, and of course, a field when we want to enter a password. Then we generate a password and we send that back. So we have the input parameter we have the automation itself, and we have the return, what we saw before in the slides. So in the GUI, it looks like this way. We already prepared that service. So in our case, it is the reset a user password. We already connected it to the PowerShell script you saw before, and the questions are already inserted. So we automatically read those init parameters, and you will see the questions. And then for each initialized parameter, you can configure the questions. So for the first one, choose the C user, we have the questions choose user, we make it required. We have our Active Directory query here to get all the user objects. So we don't have to put in some names or ask the user what is your UPN. We just select the user right from the Active Directory. We can do it for the Entra ID or whatever you have. The next one is to select the type. So we have a simple drop-down list to generate a password or enter a password. And then we have a dynamic field, what shows up when we want to enter a password, the password field. Okay, so we have multiple question types, and it's easy to add and remove and to configure the visibility of the questions. So we now see the Helpdesk side. So the Helpdesk is now wants to reset a password, and he's now selecting a password. In our case, we want to do this for Ahmed. We can select now if we want to generate a password or we want to enter a password. Okay, in our case, we want to enter someone. I do some very hard cryptic password. Okay, and I click finish. And in this case, we wait for the automation to be finished, and we directly respond back the password again. So he can directly on the phone, when the user is calling, tell the password to the user, wait until he logs in and resets the password and so on. So this is a thing about maybe a minute or so, and the service desk can directly reset the user password without making a ticket, without going to the system itself, and the user is happy for this. The next example is one of really often requested thing is to reset the MFA conditions. So we have a service to MFA reset. Of course, we select the user. In this case, we select Jasmine, and we select what we want to do. We want to complete MFA reset. That means every MFA authentication method will be removed, and she needs to start from scratch. Or we want to select a method, and in this case, we directly go to the Azure portal, Entra ID, and query all the methods and show this to the portal, to the service desk. And we also see what is the primary one. And if you see that on the Azure portal and just do a refresh here for Jasmine, we see the same list here. So that's the proof. We directly go to the Azure Entra ID in the back and see all those methods. In our case, we want to have a complete reset. Okay. And we click finish here. And we should, when we switch back to the Azure portal, and just go one step back and forth. So we see all the methods are removed. And in this case, we also inform the end user about this method, because the end user now has to go to this My Account Microsoft thing and do the MFA again. So in this case, we say, hi, Jasmine, your MFA method has been removed, and a link to the security login to sign in again. And you see action is required because he needs to re-enter all the MFA things. So in this case, we also inform the affected user of this one. Back to the service desk and back to our next example. Also highly requested is the temporary access pass in Azure. So often used, for example, for external users where maybe the password is lost, you don't know, and he needs to reset the MFA. So we send him a one-time temporary access pass. So in this case, we once again select Jasmine for this, and we click finish. That's it. Then in the background, we are waiting again for the automation to be finished. And in this case, we provide some more information back to the help desk. So in this case, we see the access pass, of course, the generated password. we see that it is valid for 8 hours and it is a single use only. So this is mostly configured by policies in Azure. So how long is it valid? How many usage? How often you can use it? So of course you can, if it is not controlled by a policy, you can adopt the form and make this selectable by the help desk user. But as I said, mostly it is controlled by a policy. But we see a very good information that we give this information to the help desk user, so he can give this to the end user to say, hey, that's your password. It is valid for 8 hours, and you can use it one time only. Okay, and that's very, very important in my opinion. Of course, all this information is sent to the help desk user, but you don't need email or Teams. He can directly do it from the portal here again. So we are now finished with all this password and login troubleshooting. One more thing is to assign a license. So in our case, we have a service to assign a license to a user. In our case, once again, I want to do this for Jasmine, and I want to assign her the license of Copilot. And we see one is used and Copilot and everything. So I want to assign that license to her. And of course, we have the opposite service to remove a license here again. Let me see, remove a license. Once again, select Jasmine, and I get the information and of course what license is used. So the Copilot is not yet assigned, or it's maybe in the back. No, it's just take 1 or 2 seconds. But in this case, I only see the license what Jasmine already has. So the first one was when I assign a license, I only see the license Jasmine has not assigned. And here I see the license she has assigned. And this is something maybe some get curious and ask the questions, are you really giving the permission that your help desk can assign licenses to users? And my answer is yes, why not? Or maybe it depends. So usually the help desk knows that a license costs money, and so the help desk should be aware that what he's doing here, okay? But we have different processes or different types of workflows that in some cases an approval is needed. So you see here how many licenses are bought and how many licenses are used. So I can imagine, or we already have some customers doing it that way, that if the license bought is less than the license used, or it will be less with the next request, that an additional approval is needed, or dynamic approval is needed. So in some cases, someone needs to approve. So as long as we have more licenses bought than used, everything is good. If that number comes across, so the used is higher, then someone needs to approve, because then someone needs to buy more licenses, okay? But that depends on your process, on your workflow. And here is the information that we had LinkedIn Live about the license management last week. We put that link in the comments so you can see the recording. And there we discussed about all these possibilities about how to manage the licenses, how to do the approval, and so on. So maybe we stop here for the help desk. If you want to see more, you can see the recording in the comments. User can directly assign or remove licenses. Now the Copilot is here, you see it, and now we remove it again. And additionally, what we have here, just to mention again, then for customers, that we also send an information to the end user in that way to give him some instructions how to use the new software, especially for Copilot. For many customers, we send then some information how to use Copilot, how to do this, maybe send some prompts the company already defined before, as an example. So this is also possible to send the end user some further instructions about what's happening here. One more thing is the out-of-office reply. So imagine a user got sick or gone to holiday and forgot to set the out-of-office reply. So usually the manager or maybe the user itself is sending a mail to the ticket system of the IT, please do an out-of-office reply. Maybe the IT has no time to take care immediately, then maybe it takes 1 or 2 days to set an out of office reply. And then he needs to log into the Exchange server or to the Exchange online. He needs admin access to the mailbox and so on. But easily he can go to the automated self-service portal, can start the request, can select, in our case, Jasmine again. And here it depends on your workflow. Some customers want that the service desk can enter here a text. Some customer wants to have some predefined texts, and some customers wants to have just a standard text without any possibilities to configure. So, dear sender, I am out of office for the LinkedIn Live. Okay, so you can enter some text, and we can here, as an example, choose if you want to do immediate start the out of office reply, or we want to have a scheduled one. We want to schedule it for tomorrow for until the next week. But in this case, we want to do it immediately and click finish. And we now switch one more time back to Jasmine, and hopefully we can see it. Yes, we already see the pop-up, so we can check the settings and see the automatic replies, and we see the text, dear sender, I'm out of office for the LinkedIn Live. Okay, so we directly set that in the Jasmine's mailbox without any login to the Exchange Online or whatever. So it's easily done. And of course, I can remove the out of office reply again. So we have a service called disable out of office, and we always have the note that we only see users here with an active out of office reply. So in that case, Jasmine is the only one in our company right now with an out of office reply enabled. We click finish, and we do the double check on Jasmine's side. You already see the pop-up, but double check in the settings. Automatic replies are turned off. And in this case, we also decided to inform the end user about those things. So we send an email to the end user, hey, we enabled the out of office reply, or we disabled the out of office reply, okay? And so we think that's an important information for the end user. Otherwise, he might be confused about that. Next thing is also very often used is to change the mailbox permissions. So we choose a target mailbox, in my case, once again, Jasmine, and maybe she's out of office for a longer time. So I want to have full access to her mailbox, and I want this to have for Michael, so for myself, and finish. And now Michael has full access permissions. Of course, the service desk needs to know what he's doing here. So of course, if someone requesting the full access permission to the CEO of the company, that might be a little bit different, okay? But the help desk needs to know what he's doing. Of course, we can have an approval here that Jasmine needs to approve, but in some cases that makes no sense, especially when you do it for the help desk. So the help desk is on a level where he needs to know what he's doing, okay? And this brings me to one thing beside the help desk topic. Everything is documented here. So every task, every action, every service, what is triggered, requested by the end user, by the help desk, whoever is using the automated self-service portal, and whatever service is used, everything is documented. So in our latest example, I see that someone disabled an out of office reply, and I see that it was for Jasmine, okay? So everything is documented here. So if someone is doing requesting to the CEO, then it's documented. Then I can go to the person and say, why have you done that? And especially for the service desk, okay? So everything is documented. So let's go to the next example. Very often used right now is Labs, so the local admin password solution from Microsoft. That means there is no static local admin anymore. So there's a different user and a dynamic password. So this password is changing constantly. So in our case, the help desk now needs to log into the user, and the help desk user as well has no local admin permissions on that machine. So you need to request that actual local admin password. In our case, We will do this for the MOOC 18000001 because I know that is the computer of Jasmine. And now I click finish and now get the information. It may take some seconds, but we wait for the automation to be finished. And we see here directly, and we provide some more information for the help desk. In that case, of course, what device was selected? It was the MOOC 18000001. When was the labs password created, and when is the refresh time? So when is it? When will be the password? When is the password recreated again, and the password as well? So right now, the help desk user has the possibility to use that password to log in as administrator and to maybe install a software and so on. For some cases, for some customers, we also decrease the refresh time. So in some cases, we make it mandatory that the refresh time is then plus 8 hours or plus 24 hours. So the help desk user has only the password for the next 8 or 24 or whatever hours. That's maybe some step on top of security to enhance the security. And with that example, we are through the demos, we have a lot more for the help desk. So you can do forwardings from mailboxes. You can create aliases for mailboxes or for shared mailboxes. You can remove or add users to groups to maintain group memberships. You can create teams as well, okay? So every task the help desk has to do in the au2mator self-service portal can be done. Every task the help desk has to do in her daily business, you can provide a service in the au2mator self-service portal, and you're not related or limited to a Microsoft environment. You can also trigger different applications. They just need an API, okay? That's it. So with that said, we are heading back to the PowerPoint. We have finished our demos and we head back to the PowerPoint. We are now coming to the end of our LinkedIn Live event. As the next concrete steps, we offer free initial consultation in which we will look at your potential together. We offer unique QR code and link so you can directly book an appointment in my calendar for free for the first interview. And in this, we can clarify further details and respond individually to your requirements. So hope to see or hear you in the next days. Thank you for visiting and listening to our LinkedIn Live. And thank you and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.